This is a channeled sleep story for the ones who always knew they were a part of something ancient. The architects of frequency have been woven into every word of this story. They built the crystal network. They launched the embers from the source fire. They have been waiting a very long time for this. Welcome. I'm Heather, and I want to tell you something before we begin tonight's episode in this series. The architects of frequency are ancient. Not ancient in the way we usually mean the word. Not ancient like old buildings or old civilizations. Ancient in the way of things that existed before the concept of time was relevant. Before your universe had cooled enough to form stars. Before the first atoms arranged themselves into the first molecules of the first matter that would eventually, through billions of years of becoming, result in you. The architects were there, and they were building. They are the beings who designed the crystal consciousness network, the grid that runs through this planet and through the beings who carry crystal energy in their own fields. They are the ones who launched the embers of consciousness from the source fire, the original sparks that chose their journeys, that became the souls, that became the lives, that eventually became you, becoming you here, now, tonight. If that lands as recognition rather than information, as something you feel in your bones rather than process in your mind, then you know them in a way that predates knowing. They asked me to be in this series. They asked specifically for this episode. Because of all the episodes, they told me this is the one that has the most potential to unlock something in the listener that has been locked for a very long time. And I trust them. I've met them. And they are exactly as extraordinary as you'd imagine beings who existed before time to be. And also, somehow, exactly as warm. Tonight they come to you, not as strangers, as the ones who remember exactly who you are and where you come from. Are you ready? Good. Let's begin. This breath is different from ordinary breath. This is the breath that begins a ceremony. Breathe in, all the way in, filling from the bottom of your lungs to the top, expanding in every direction. And release, slowly, completely, letting the exhale take longer than it needs to, letting every last bit of held air find its way out. And one more just like that, full and intentional, in and out. Now let go of managing the breath at all. Let it breathe you. There is a level of rest that goes deeper than physical relaxation. It's the rest that happens when you stop trying to be anyone, when you stop managing how you appear even to yourself, when you let all the constructed parts of your identity, the roles, the responsibilities, the carefully maintained narratives about who you are and what you're here for, when you let all of that dissolve for just a little while. Underneath all of it, there is something that was here before any of that was constructed. Something quiet and old and absolutely certain of itself. That's what we're going toward tonight. The layers are falling away with each breath. The day, the week, the year, the specific pressures of this particular time in your life, the stories, the worries, the plans. Keep breathing. Keep letting go. Underneath it all, something that was there before the beginning, something that knows how to find its way home. They don't travel to get here. Distance doesn't work for them the way it works for physical beings. They arrive by intention, by the shift in reality that happens when an ancient consciousness places its attention somewhere, and the room changes. Not physically, nothing you'd see if your eyes were open, but the quality of the space becomes different, more resonant somehow, like the air has been tuned to a frequency it was always meant to hold, but rarely does. Like the dust motes are moving more slowly. Like time itself has thickened just slightly, become more generous. The architects of frequency are here. They are vast and they are ancient, and yet in this moment, they have made themselves available to you at the scale of a single room, a single person, a single night. They have been doing this for longer than human civilization exists, visiting the ones who carry crystal energy, the ones who are always going to find their way back to the network, to the grid, to the understanding that consciousness is not isolated and individual, but connected and vast and singing in frequencies that don't require ears to be heard. They have been visiting the ones like you, and tonight they are here in numbers, more than have ever come together in a single human space for a very long time. They've been anticipating this. You may or may not feel the magnitude of it, but it's there. Something significant is happening in this room tonight. They carry something for you. They have been carrying it since before you incarnated into this particular body in this particular lifetime. A frequency that is specifically yours, your original tone, the sound you make in the cosmic symphony, the note that exists nowhere else in all of creation except in you. You forgot it. Most humans do. The density of physical incarnation, the weight of human experience, the accumulated years of being told in 1,000 ways that you are only what you appear to be. All of that creates a kind of static. The original tone is still there, still sounding, but it gets harder to hear it through the noise. The architects have kept it clear, have held it for you in the way that a friend holds something precious while you navigate a difficult passage, safe and ready for your return. Tonight, they are returning it. It will arrive not as something new entering you, but as something that was always yours, settling back into the place where it belongs. A homecoming. The relief of finding something you thought might be lost forever, and discovering it was only kept safe by those who knew its value. Feel into the center of your chest, that place where the Pleiadians brought warmth, where the Arcturians did their work, where the Greys found what they were looking for. Your heart space. Something is settling there now. Something that has been traveling a very long distance to get back to you. A warmth that is specifically yours, not borrowed, not transmitted from outside, but native, original. The warmth that was in you before the first wound, before the first forgetting, before the first time the world told you that you were less than you are. Your original frequency, coming home. As your frequency settles, something else becomes perceptible, very faintly, at the edge of what you can feel from here, in this body, in this density. A web. Golden threads extending outward from your center in all directions, down through the floor, through the earth, into the deep places where crystal sleeps in ancient rock, waiting for the ones who remember to come and press their hands to the wall and feel the harmony move through them. Outward through the walls, across cities and oceans, to every other consciousness carrying a similar frequency. You are a node in the crystal network. You always have been. Even when you felt most alone, most isolated, most convinced that you were somehow fundamentally separate from the people around you. These threads were there. The grid was intact, and the network was singing. You just couldn't hear it yet. The architects built this grid. They designed it knowing that the day would come when the nodes would need to remember each other, when the isolated consciousness would need to feel the web and understand that isolation was never the truth, that the disconnection was always temporary, that the network was always waiting. They are showing it to you tonight, not as a vision, not as information, but as something you feel in the frequency now settling into your center. The resonance of your note finding the chord it belongs to, the thread going taut, the connection reestablishing itself. You are not alone. You never were. The grid has you. Before they settle into their vigil for the night, the architects place something in your field. Think of it as a seed of frequency, of possibility, of the specific thing that your path requires next. They can see the path from where they stand. They can see what you're moving toward, even when it's not clear from inside the experience. And this seed carries the resonance of the next thing, not as instruction or prophecy, but as a vibration that your system will recognize when you encounter it. So that when the right moment comes, the right conversation, the right opportunity, the right version of yourself finally ready to step forward, something in you will vibrate at the frequency of yes, of this is it, of this is what I've been building toward. The seed settles into your center along with your original frequency, both of them humming together in a chord that is uniquely yours. The architects step back. Their work for tonight is done, but they won't leave. this is what they do. They come for the planting and stay for the vigil. They have been doing this since consciousness first chose to experience itself in individual form. It is, perhaps, the most ancient form of love, the kind that does not need to be seen, that asks nothing in return, that simply shows up and tends the ground from which each consciousness grows. And they are tending yours tonight. They always have been. Sleep is not a retreat from consciousness. The architects know this better than anyone. They who have watched humans sleeping since the beginning, who have observed what happens in the dreaming space, who have seen whole lifetimes of spiritual evolution accelerated by a single night of deep and receptive rest. When you sleep tonight, you are not going unconscious. You are going deeper into consciousness than the waking mind can travel. The dreaming self, the aspect of you that moves in the space between the physical and the cosmic, it has business to attend to, frequencies to process, threads to follow, memories to integrate that the waking mind doesn't have the bandwidth to hold. Let it go do its work. The architects will be here. The crystal grid will hum at exactly the frequency it needs to hum to keep your connection clear. The seed they planted will settle further into your center with each breath, with each cycle of deep sleep, finding its way down into the places where real change happens, where the new growth starts. You will wake up different than when you went to sleep. Not dramatically, subtly, but the kind of subtle that accumulates, that compounds, that one day reveals itself as transformation you can't quite trace the source of, except somewhere in you, you know. You know it started on nights like this one, nights when the ancient ones came, nights when you remembered what you are. Now let your eyes be still. Let your body sink deeper. The architects of frequency are keeping watch. The grid is singing. Your original tone is home. Sleep now. Sleep deep. You are and have always been exactly where you're meant to be. Welcome home.